Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are continuing with Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter number 13, verse number 18. Jyotisham apita jyotis tamasaha paramochyate jnanam neyam jnanagamyam hridi sarvasya vishtitam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. He is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge, and He is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Excuse me, it's good to be back. And we are continuing with chapter number 13. So today we are going to do a few verses, and from that we will understand what is Krishna trying to explain to Arjuna. First of all, it will help us to awaken our hearts, which means become more aware of what is the purpose of life. Mainly people are just living life randomly, taking one day at a time, as they say. Let's see whatever life throws at us and then we will work it out, kind of. People are not living with some intention. They are not living in a conscious way. Now you may say, well, we are not unconscious, but the true sense is we are not living according to the principles laid down by the Supreme Lord. Most don't even know what is the purpose of human form of life. They just think that it is eating, sleeping, making money, having fun, etc. No. And then people say, oh, I'm not peaceful. I want peace. I want peace of mind. I want to be happy. But if we see Bhagavad Gita, the knowledge helps us. Actually, Bhagavad Gita answers all the questions that we may have in our lives. And here, Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna that it's important to understand who is God. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart as a super soul. Now, to be able to understand that, one has to be qualified. You see? And how do we qualify ourselves? By taking on the knowledge. And when we take on the knowledge, then we will understand how we should live in a conscious way. How we should understand that I am not this body, I am the spirit soul, and there is God within our heart. So here we see the verse that we read just now is there is a continuation of glories of the super soul. He is the source of light. He is beyond darkness. He is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge and he is the goal of knowledge. When we come to chapter number 15, we will see in verse 15, Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sani vishto. Sarvasya means all. He says, I am situated in hridi. Hridi means heart. I am situated in the heart of all living entities. And further also he tells Arjuna, Hrideshi Arjuna Tishtati, that I am in the heart. Now one may say, what is the purpose of the Lord being in the heart? Very simple. To help us, to guide us, to show us the way, to be a witness to all our activities. We may think that, oh, I'm going to perform my activities in my house, no one is watching me. No. The Lord is there in the heart and watching everything and keeping a record of everything that we do. And that is how karma works. Every action has a reaction. Now he says, I am the source of the light in the sun, in the moon, in the stars. And the spiritual world doesn't need all this sun, moon, and stars. Why? Because the whole spiritual world is illuminated or effulgent just by the Brahma Jyoti of the Supreme Lord. Krishna's effulgence from his body is lighting up the whole spiritual world. So there is no need for even electricity over there. But here in the material world, his effulgence is covered up. And that is why we need the sun, the moon, and the stars. So if we understand who is the Supreme Lord, Krishna, and we also understand that there is a spiritual world, we are in the material world, and his abode is far, far away. But it's still accessible. We can still reach there. And that's what Bhagavad Gita is teaching us, you see. Now, this verse, Krishna says, I am knowledge. And that knowledge is transcendental because he's transcendental. So if one is really sincere in understanding the Bhagavad Gita, only then, by the mercy of the Lord, we will be able to understand the Bhagavad Gita. One may say, well, I can open the Bhagavad Gita and I can read and I can hear classes, etc., etc. But no. The secret of Bhagavad Gita will be revealed only to a sincere student. And what does sincerity mean? It means focus. When we are focused, say for instance, I start a business and I want to make a lot of money. Well, I have to be focused. First of all, I'll need knowledge. I might have to do some research, get some advice from experienced businessmen, and then jump into that business. But after starting the business, there has to be sincerity, which means focus. Only then there is a possibility of making some money. So the person who is interested in breaking the cycle of birth and death and going to the spiritual world, they would need to be sincere. Now, Krishna is there in the heart, and he says that Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivishto matah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. He says, from me comes knowledge, forgetfulness, and remembrance. So we choose what do we want. He is there in the heart to guide us, but are we ready to take the guidance? That is $1,000,000 question. Are we ready? Or are we happy depending on our own minds, you know? If we feel we know it all, then how is the help going to come to us? No. And to be able to understand Krishna, we would need to surrender. And the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to understand that Krishna is in the heart, he's the controller, he's the guide, he's the well-wisher, he's the witness. And only by understanding him, we'll be able to break the cycle of birth and death. Excuse me. Krishna tells Arjuna, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yogiti tattva tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mamiti so Arjuna. Anyone who will understand the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance and his activities, after giving up this body, after death, one will not be born again into this material world, but will reach the supreme abode. You see? One time someone asked me a question that, why is the Lord in the heart? I know how to take care of myself. I know what is right. I know what is wrong, what not to do, etc. Well, he's there to guide us. We are like fish out of the water, but we need to go back in the water because that is where the fish belongs. And that is our situation. We belong to the spiritual world, but right now we are in the material world. And Krishna, he's the master of all living entities and he's the ultimate shelter. The very next verse, number 19, Krishna says, only my devotees can understand this. And how Why is that so? Because when one performs devotional service, when one tries to understand the Bhagavad Gita and put it into practice by performing devotional service, in other words, following the instructions given in the Bhagavad Gita, then there's going to be realization. And the result will be, Krishna says, they will attain to my nature, which means they'll come back to the spiritual world. You see, right from the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita till now, Krishna has described everything to us. He has explained, he's talked about the body, he talked about the spirit soul, the qualities of a spirit soul. He talked about himself as a super soul. He's giving us knowledge, he has explained to us who is the knower. The knower of the body is the soul, who is knowable, that is Krishna himself. What is the process of knowing him? That also he has explained, you see. But this all is theory, right? This all is theoretical. What about practical? Now, for us to realize it practically, Krishna says one needs to perform unalloyed devotional service. We've heard, right, in our science class, alloy means mixed, unalloyed means no mixture. That means pure devotional service. Otherwise, it's impossible. It's impossible. So, for us to be able to perform pure devotional service, there are certain guidelines that we need to follow, and those guidelines are given to us in the Bhagavad Gita. Follow the process. And the process begins with meditation. Meditation, not just closing our eyes or going to a secluded place which is very quiet and we just close our eyes and then we sit there. No. The Bhagavad Gita teaches us Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. Talks about mantra meditation, chanting the holy names of the Lord. Then the knowledge will lead to understanding. Then one can come to a stage of self-realization, which means understanding the self. Very, very important. That's when a person starts realizing the self, not theoretically, but practically, then there's going to be awakening in the heart. Then one will start living in a conscious way by following the Bhagavad Gita. Right now, most people are in material consciousness, which means they are only thinking about this material body. But when, like in chapter 3 and 5, Krishna talks about dovetailing our activities in his consciousness. You see, that will help us to become self realized. And this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita will help us gradually to attain pure devotional service. Now, earlier on, we learned about Krishna talking about different material elements, right? The material elements that form the body, like earth, fire, water, air, ether, etc. And this body, it's called the field of activities. If you remember, beginning of the chapter, Arjuna had many questions, and one of them was about the field of activities. And Krishna says, it's this body. And to understand the knower of the field of activities, which means to understand who is the knower of the body, and that's the soul. And above him is the super soul. So we've heard quite a bit about super soul. So if we want to really understand the Supreme Lord as super soul completely, then Krishna says unalloyed devotional service. That is the only time when the heart will be awakened. Now, in the very next verse, again, Krishna is emphasizing the difference between the spirit soul and the super soul. There's a big difference. The spirit soul is us, that's our identity. And we are this, my soul is in this, my body. But super soul, the Supreme Lord, is in everyone's body. That's the difference, you see. And the soul, Krishna says, is in the category of Krishna's energy. Now, super soul and the Supreme Lord are the same. But the super soul is the personal expansion of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So, verse number 20 is actually confirming that we living entities, we are eternal. And we learned that in chapter 2. You see? In fact, the second level of education is Srimad Bhagavatam after Bhagavad Gita. In that also, Krishna is explaining about how this whole material creation takes place, manifested from him in the form of Mahavishnu. And we conditioned living entities, we are here in this material world suffering. Now one may say, hey, I'm not suffering at all. Well, we have learned in earlier chapters there are 7 kinds of sufferings: birth, disease, old age, death, sufferings caused by body and mind, sufferings caused by material nature, and sufferings caused by other living entities. These are 7 sufferings, right? So we, in this material world, we are suffering, and the reason being because we are like fish out of the water. Take the fish out of the water, the fish is not going to be happy at all. It's going to suffer and will soon die because it's out of its constitutional position. That is our situation. We are belonging to the spiritual world, but because we are here in the material world, we are suffering because we are out of our constitutional position. And Bhagavad Gita is teaching us how we can go back to our original home, which is a supreme abode. You see? And this material world, Srila Prabhupada explains, is like a prison house. You see, when someone breaks the law, they are put in the prison house, and they are there in the prison house so that they can rectify themselves, right? So that is our situation. This material world is like a prison house so that we can rectify ourselves. And it is actually an opportunity given to us to qualify ourselves to go back to the spiritual world. Now, we just like to say, I remember I used to have this question before that when I was little, my mother would only give me pencil to write with. She would not give me pen. I wanted pen, to write with pen. And these tiny, fingers can't even hold the pen. But, so I always used to wait when I'm going to grow up so I can use a pen. There is a reason behind this. See, when we are children, we use pencil because we are learning and we may make mistakes and it's easy to erase it, right? Don't we get those pencils with eraser at the tip on top, right? So that when we write something wrong, we can erase it. But as we grow up, we understand. So then when we use the pen, once we make a mistake, we cannot erase it. This is what Bhagavad Gita teaches us. Up to the age of 5, mistakes are allowed. But after that, we got to pay for our mistakes. There are consequences, you see? So we need to understand that now that we have access to the Bhagavad Gita, we should avoid making mistakes because they cannot be erased. They will be recorded in our account of karma. Krishna says, Mamaya Vamsha Jiva Loki, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, that I am situated in everyone's heart and everyone is my part and parcel and everyone is spiritual. We are spiritual by nature. We learned this in chapter 2. But Prabhupada says, because of rebellious nature, because of the conditioning that we have over so many lifetimes, we have come in contact with material nature in the material world, in this prison house. We want to be free, but we don't know how. Well, good news. Bhagavad Gita tells us, it gives us a process how to become free. Now, the choice is ours. Do I want to be free or I'm happy where I am? No problem. You see? So if we continue to stay attracted here in the material world, we will continue the hard struggle for existence. You see? Because there are three modes of material nature. We will learn in the very next chapter, which is entitled Modes of Material Nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And that's how we operate. We operate sometimes we are in the mode of goodness, sometimes passion, sometimes ignorance, sometimes a mixture of these modes. You see, all this is going on. But if we sincerely try to understand the Bhagavad Gita, then we will become qualified to understand even the super soul in the heart. One who understands who is God. The scriptures tell us Krishna is God. And when we understand Krishna's glories, we understand his different energies, we understand the purpose of him being within our heart. And then we start practicing unalloyed devotional service. That is when the heart will kind of, you can say, bloom, it'll be awakened. And very, very simple process is given. It's not rocket science at all. It's not that we have to, do this and that. No, not at all. Very, very simple. And it starts with meditation. Who doesn't like to meditate? Everyone is running around, and people generally wait for the weekend. Have you noticed that? When I used to work, oh, weekend was heavenly. Like, oh, no more office work, no more running around, just relaxing. How many people, look forward to the weekend to do what? To eat and sleep, to enjoy, to go here and there and find different sources of happiness. But they forget happiness is within. Have you ever heard that the deer has a musk in its body, right? Musk has that very, very nice, strong fragrance. And the deer can get that fragrance, can experience it, but doesn't know where it is. And it's running around in the whole forest looking for musk. Doesn't know it is within him. That is what Krishna is trying to explain. Happiness is within. So when we practice Bhakti Yoga, when we follow this process of Bhakti Yoga, starting with mantra meditation, then we will realize happiness which is within. Excuse me. And that is what is going to lead us to peace of mind also. And we'll become more aware of ourselves. We will be conscious of the fact, I am not this body, but I am the spirit soul. See? We'll become more aware of ourselves. And then we will also understand, why am I here? Okay, if I am spiritual by nature, I am encaged in this body, I am in this material world, why am I here? What is the purpose of human life? You see, there's a huge difference between animal and a human. Animals don't know what is the purpose of their life. They just eat, sleep, have babies, and defend themselves. That's it. But we human beings, the Lord has given us philosophical intelligence to understand philosophy, to understand the purpose of human life is to realize ourselves, to make our minds very clear. There has to be clarity of mind. How many of us are confused? I would say most are confused, but they don't accept that fact. If we see a confused person and say, hey, are you confused? They say, oh no, I'm not confused at all. No one is going to accept that fact. So there is no clarity of mind, you see. So Bhagavad Gita is actually giving us different tools by which we can make our mind very clear. We can understand purpose of human life. We can also live in a conscious way. You see, there is a saying, simple living, high thinking. But nowadays, people, high living, no thinking. And that is what is happening. So, because there is no clarity at all, people don't understand that now that I have got this human form of life, I need to use it for my own benefit. And that benefit is not how to satisfy my senses. No. To understand that I belong to the spiritual world. And the tools that are given to us in the Bhagavad Gita are very simple. First of all, it is mantra meditation, that we chant the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So when we chant this regularly, just like when I'm diseased, I go to the doctor and I get the medication. Now I got to follow the prescription. If the doctor says you've got to take 3 tablets every day, I got to follow that if I want to get cured, right? So, similarly, if we want to become self realized, then we need to chant every day. And the other tool is to follow 4 regulative principles that human beings should follow, because that will help us to purify ourselves. And then, of course, we need to follow austerities. There are different austerities. I've talked about this before also. Austerity of speech, which means we always got to be honest. No telling lies, because telling lies is a sin. And sinful action is going to give sinful reaction. So Bhagavad Gita teaches us to be honest. At the same time, whatever we speak honestly should be in a pleasing manner, that it does not agitate the minds of others, and also that it is beneficial for the other person. Another austerity of speech is to chant the verses from the Bhagavad Gita, to chant the holy names of the Lord, to recite the verses. It's austerity of speech. Austerity of mind, self-satisfaction. Are we satisfied? If not, then we need to perform some austerities. Simplicity, that's another austerity of the mind. You see, control of the senses. Austerity of the body is to keep it clean inside out. Outside, we clean it every day, right? Shower, bathing, whatever it may be. We may use different body washes, Dove or whatever it is. Yes, that is cleansing of the body. But what about inside? The internal cleanliness happens only when we chant the holy names of the Lord, you see. So when we start, putting these tools into practice, using these tools from Bhagavad Gita and applying them in our day-to-day life, then and only then we will actually understand who we are. And we will understand who is the Supreme Lord. And then gradually we will understand how does karma work. Because every action has a reaction. So chapter 3 and 5 explain to us in detail how karma works. And then when we dovetail all our activities in service to the Supreme Lord Krishna, then gradually we'll become self-realized. And then there will be what we can say realization, not because of our own efforts, but our efforts plus the mercy of the Supreme Lord. When the Supreme Lord will see that we are making an effort, a sincere effort to know Him, to know ourselves, we're making a sincere effort to understand the Bhagavad Gita, which is nothing but an owner's manual for the human beings, right? I've talked about this before so many times, that whenever we get a new gadget or a new car or whatever it may be, along with it comes owner's manual. that teaches us this is what you need to do and this is what we don't need to do, so that there is proper functioning of that gadget or the car or whatever. I remember one of our friends, not our friends, our son's friend, who had recently come to Atlanta for his job. And he called us up one day and he said, I'm in trouble. I mean, like, what happened? He said, well, I am at the gas station. He was at the gas station. He said, I'm at the gas station. And in my Toyota, instead of putting regular gas, I put diesel. Now what do I do? Car is not going to work because the car is designed for regular gasoline. We cannot put diesel into a car that does not run on diesel. So that is the same with our body. We got to feed the body that is the actual food for the body. And the food for the body, like just like we feed our body, we need to feed the soul also. And it is the chanting of the holy names which is the food for the soul. So in these few verses, right, from verse 18 through 20 that we covered today, Krishna is giving us knowledge about who he is, you know, how he is situated in the heart as a super soul. What's the reason? Why is he in the body? He's accompanying us in every type of body that we are taking. He's coming with us in each body that we take, is to help us, to guide us. Just like parents like to help and guide their children on the right path. And that is what the Supreme Father, the Supreme Lord, Krishna, is there in the heart as Super Soul to guide us on the spiritual path. So important to understand this human form of body, which we have got after going through 8.4 million species of life. After that, we've got this rare human form. So intelligent person, according to Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says those who are intelligent, they make the best use of this human form of body. So today we learned how we can live in a conscious way, understand with the help of knowledge who we are, who is God, how is he situated as super soul in the heart, and what are the tools that we can use to become self-realized. And the very first step is mantra meditation. Now you may say, hey, you always talk about this at the end of the class. You always talk about mantra meditation. What to do? That's what God is talking about. Krishna is saying the same thing. Satatam kirtayanto mam. Satatam means always. He's actually saying we should always be chanting. But, the conditioning that we have, we're like, hey, I don't have that much time to be chanting all the time. I need to do this, and I need to go to work, I need to take care of family. And that's the reason when Krishna came 500 years ago on this earthly planet, he explained to us that if we chant at least just 2 hours every day, that can help us to purify ourselves. If we cannot do that, then at least 10 minutes every day. You see? So as you all, I think I have posted this many times, so I'm going to post it again in the chat. So we have, let me post it first and then explain it to you. So over here, you can see that the Zoom link is there. We have this class every Sunday, Eastern Standard Time at 8 o'clock. If you're interested in previous classes, it's there on YouTube and Facebook. And then there's this WhatsApp group where if you like to join, then you can get daily meditations. I post daily meditations. and also some information about the classes. Like, for instance, I was in India for 2 weeks, so there was no class for 2 weeks. I just got back last night, so we are continuing with our classes now. And towards the end of in the chat, you will see is the mantra to chant. What is mantra? Man means mind, and tra means to free the mind of all anxieties. So when we chant the mantra, that is mantra meditation. So to show you all, like I always do, I will chant just 10 times to show you how to chant. If you don't know, and if you do, then please chant with me. It's just 10 times to give you an idea. I think Kristen has come for the first time, and so this is for you too. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So you see, it's very, very simple. These are very powerful sound vibrations given to us by the Supreme Lord Himself, so that we can purify our mind, our hearts, our senses, even our intelligence. So it's my humble request to all of you is to please chant, do this mantra meditation, and you will yourself see the difference. So I'm going to end now. And if anyone has any questions or comments, you are very welcome to ask.
Hare Krishna, Mother Gita.
Hare
So
Krishna.